Most presentations fail not because of a bad presenter, but because of a broken structure in their presentations. They start to ramble about, they jump from one point to the next, and there's no clear storyline to hold on to for the audience. So eventually they will zone out. And great presenters, well, they use a very clean and simple structure in their presentations. It's a technique very often used by TED Talks, top executives, or professional communicators. And that way you can start to communicate with impact in your presentations. Let's start with the first step, which is the opening sequence of your presentation. And your job is in the first 30 seconds, grab the attention of the audience. You want to pull them in and get them out of that autopilot state that a lot of people are in, especially if they are in a meeting and they come from something else, they have something on their mind. We want to grab them out with a very strong statement. And that's why it's important not to start with, today I'm going to talk about, we know this rambling, we don't want that. We want a very powerful opening, maybe a question, we want a fact, or we want a statement that really grabs them in. Just compare these two. Let's say you're talking to your sales team and you want to say, today we're going to talk about an update of sales performance. That is another very inspiring and powerful statement. Now imagine you rephrase it like this instead. We were losing millions a month just because of one stupid mistake. And once we fixed that, we increased our success rate by 40%. And I'll teach you exactly how to do that. That is a way more powerful and conveying message for the audience. It kind of makes them lean forward a bit. Like, what are you going to say? They want to know the answer. So the hook is super important. And once we've done the opening right, now let's move on to the next step, which is the big idea and explaining them why it matters. Now, before you explain the what of the presentation, you need to set the why. Why is it important for the audience and what's in it for them? That has to be super clear. Once you make that very clear for them, you will get their buy-in. You will get their interest throughout the presentation. So you have to frame, for example, a problem for them, and then you want to set up for the solution. So you get this tension, you open this curiosity loop a little bit, that interest of what's coming next. I need to hear the solution. That's what you want to achieve. So the way you can do this is with every statement or slide or topic, you want to ask what's in it for the audience. And if you can't explain it simply, you have to either simplify it yourself, clarify it, or skip it entirely if it's not relevant. Now let's compare these two. A bad case would be we're implementing a new CRM system. So instead of saying we're going to implement a new CRM system, what you could do instead is you reframe it. We're going to save 2 hours of your day that you can free up from following up by implementing this new CRM system. And that's what we're going to do step by step. So if you reframe it a little bit, it opens up that curiosity loop. You open up the opportunities that it has. And that's what you want to achieve. And if the audience doesn't feel the relevance, they won't remember your point. So you have to start with the value up front and make that very clear. Now moving on to number 3, which is the core content. Now this is the meat of your presentation. And also here you want to limit it to, for example, 3 points that are very easy to remember. Now we understand that sometimes you need to talk about 10, 11 points or more. But the way you do this is you want to sequence them. You want to put them into categories. You want to make it very clear, like here we are in the structure. We're at stage 1, now we're moving at stage 2 with 4 more points, and then we're moving down the ladder. So you make it very easy for them to understand. Now, if we look at an example, we can see this is the way we should run a meeting, and we're talking about 10 points. What you could do instead is you could bundle it into categories. One, you say the preparation contains a few steps. Next, we'll look at the meeting itself. And then third, we'll look at the call to action or the follow-up. And this makes it easier for the audience to sort of remember what it was about. 3 points is way easier to remember than 10 points. So the simpler you make it for the audience, the better you will communicate. So think about this as a sequence, not a list. You don't want to just ramble off a list. You want to take them on the journey and do it step by step, where one step connects to the next and so on. So you want to make it very clear for them. The way you can do this is by visualizing it on the screen. So you can make it very clear and do it step by step even. You can create some really cool, interesting designs for that. And if you want to learn how to do that, I have an entire program available that teaches you slide design and how to communicate with impact. So if you want to learn more about that, you can do that via the link in the description below. Now moving on to the 4th step, which is the call to action. Because we don't want to just end the presentation. We want to land the plane, as they say. We want to give a brief but nice summary of what we've talked about. And then we want to follow up with one clear call to action. Don't start with 2, 3, 4 call to actions, things they should do. Start with something very simple that you can actually follow up on later. So the next time you speak, don't try to just wing it. Think of your presentation and structure up front, and then you won't just present, you'll persuade the audience, and that is what it's all about. Now, if you want to learn how to keep the audience's attention throughout your entire presentation, make sure to watch the video here on the screen right now.